It is 7:02. I'm going to call the meeting to order, please. Commissioners, thank you all for coming. Very concerned when I got here about 20 minutes ago. It's nice to see you all. And we should stand for the pledge.
Congratulations to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we please have a moment of silence for all the firefighters, especially those north of the border fighting forest fires?
May I also ask you to remember Karen Ackley, who passed away, the spouse of Commissioner and Fire Marshal Harry Ackley. Karen is typical of firefighters' spouses and was involved in everything that Harry was involved in the Fairfield Fire Department, and she will be missed.
Does anyone have any changes to the minutes, proposed changes to the minutes?
Make motion to accept.
Seconded? No. Thank you. Any further discussion? Those in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Reports, Chief.
Okay, I have 4 items to bring to your attention. First, the older issue, the RFP that we talked about the station study, is complete, and we're waiting for purchasing, put it out on the street, and then we will move quickly to select a vendor and proceed with the station study. The deputy and I met with the finance department today and risk management. As you know, we need to repair and refurb fireboat, Marine Unit 228, which sank during severe weather over the winter. And the insurance company completed their report, although there are a couple of minor issues with the boat. Insurance will cover all but the deductible of the repair. Estimates from Metalcraft, the boat manufacturer, put it at $425,000. There's a $50,000 deductible that will be absorbed by the town. And we are proceeding with the rental of a spare boat to get us through the boating season. Unfortunately, the report from the insurance company just came in last week. Running out of time for boards and commissions to meet, so we're scrambling at this point to get them and get this project in front of them before July 1st, so that we can proceed with both the repair and the rental. The turnout gear. We talked about turnout gear previously, and we have petitioned. So I got a report from the training director and a number of sets of gear that will be needed over and above what we budgeted for. Our OSHA inspection identified a violation that we have to comply with, and we have requested that the town consider, once we have the number of retirements that will likely come after the arbitration award is ratified by the union and the RTM. We anticipate a number of retirements. We will then reassess where we are with gear for replacement, not only for new employees that will replace the retirees, but if any of that gear that's surplus because of the retirements. And we'll go back to the town and get an appropriation, an emergency appropriation from the town, likely in September, to backfill against those units that were more than 10 years old that have been deemed in violation by OSHA. So we have 34 sets, no, 44 sets that are, no, 34, excuse me, 14 and 20 that are currently in process. We will likely add somewhere around 24 additional sets by a new appropriation at $4,000 a piece, at roughly $100,000 that will be going back to the town for a special appropriation in order to fix that problem. And lastly, I sent to the commission as part of the backup, the recruit evaluations from the most recent Connecticut Fire Academy recruit program. I serve as chairman of the recruit committee, that group of chiefs that work with the academy staff to address all issues related to firefighter training and education at the academy. We are pleased with the results. The curriculum was overhauled over the past year and a half by the Fire Academy staff, and the recruits evaluated that, each of the different segments of the program, and you saw that in the handout. Most importantly, I guess, from my perspective, the third page in the injury comparison, we were in 4 classes ago, there were a total of 20 injuries, 10 of which were transported to a hospital. And 5 of the 20 injuries were related to the daily PT program. And by comparison, the most recent class that just graduated, we went from 20 reports of injuries to only 2. So over the 4 classes, with the attention that's being paid by the academy and our encouragement of recruits to be more physically prepared for the recruit program, we've made a significant decrease in the number of injuries reported, and none of those injuries, neither of the 2, are related to PT. So we're happy with the progress that we're making at the academy, both within the program, the educational and paramedic part of the program, but also avoiding injuries and improving physical fitness as part of that. Commissioner.
Thank you, Chief. Did they lessen PT requirements at all between class 60, class 71?
No, they didn't. And so what they did is they ramped up the intensity of the program much more slowly. So over 15 weeks, previously they would increase the physical demands, by the 3rd, 4th week significantly, and recruits were getting hurt. So they're taking the first third or a total of 5 weeks and keeping the intensity at a very low level, more instructional, how to work out, and then building up. What they have also added, and this is an important part of it, is I'm not sure that it may be in the end. So there was a page added so did you have this chart in your package? It may have been added. It's like the 4th page, or it's page 15 in mine, but I got a revision. So at the end, what we've been concerned with is recruits that come into the academy program deconditioned, not ready to fully participate in daily PT, overweight, deconditioned, and unable to keep up with the majority of the class. So we've spent several years really focusing on giving recruits good information on how to prepare before they arrive at the academy. And the academy has included a fireground functional testing with a time limit similar to CPAT that I know that Commissioner Police-Us is so fond of. And the idea is that all the recruits will have completed the entire circuit of physical training within 12 minutes and 30 seconds. And 8 recruits, so halfway through the class, 8 recruits were not able to meet that time cutoff. By the second attempt, towards the end of the 15-week program, all but one had completed within the 12:30 time limit. And that candidate improved his time score from 17 minutes in his first attempt to 13 and a half minutes, or 13:45 in his second attempt. He has been referred to the department that sent him to continue to work on physical fitness. And as we have talked about firefighter health and safety, physical fitness is such an important component of that, whether it's to avoid, obesity, heart issues, and cancer. The stronger, more resilient you are going into, the more likely you'll be able to withstand some of the assaults, the physical assaults of the job. So we're happy with the progress that's being made at the academy. And the only other item, although it's not a functional component, the meals or the food service program is getting reasonably good marks. There was nobody who rated it unacceptable. We're providing 2 meals a day at the academy, breakfast and lunch. Some of the previous complaints were meals were, bananas were green, so inedible. There was mold on bread. They weren't healthy options. So we've worked with them to make sure that that is an important part of the program. And a lot of attention has been placed on the meal service to make sure that it's providing the nutritional value that a very active day requires of the students there. So we're happy with the report, and if there are any other questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah, for the functional testing, Chief, what's the difference between this and the like the CPAT? Is this meant to just continue to test their ability to meet functional requirements throughout the duration of the academy?
So it's to ensure that just as they take a written test to complete the academy, and they're being tested on all of their firematic skills, wanted to make sure that we're also evaluating their progress in their level of fitness. And if it is not meeting the benchmark standard, then the department is then encouraged to continue to work with that employee to improve physical conditioning once they leave the academy. So it was a big hole in the assessment of candidates. And while it's not a pass-fail, it is a method to evaluate fitness and provide some recommendations to move forward.
That's great. That's a great reduction.
No more questions?
Question and a comment. I found it incredible reading for someone new to the commission. I would say that I enjoyed it very much. It was found it incredibly informative. And my question is, would you share with us, if possible, what is the average age of a firefighter in Fairfield?
I will have to get that for you.
Do not, just.
I do not have it off the top of my head, but we certainly can pull up that, and I will share it with you by email, because we don't have a meeting scheduled typically in July and August, but we'll get that to you.
Rather curious, being new,
Yep.
trying to understand fully what is
Sure.
expected of these ladies and gentlemen. I thought the report was fabulous to read from someone into this. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any further questions?
Chief answered both of mine.
That completes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Chief, do you have anything to report?
Yes, so under operations, we had a few working fires since our last meeting. Among them were on Moritz Place, we had a brush fire which started from you think a cigarette butt that was thrown in mulch. So it burned the mulch and then started melting some of the siding on a cape that workers were working at. Nobody smoked. They all gave up smoking. So it was somebody was lying to us, unfortunately, I think. On Harbor Road, there was an automatic fire alarm that came that went to an alarm system alarm company. The alarm went to the 911 center, and arriving units saw smoke in the area and then smoke on the roof when they got closer. They filled out the assignment, meaning they asked for more firefighters to come to the scene. And they wound up having a working fire on the exterior at the second floor balcony area of the beautiful house on Harbor Road. We also had the other night on Winnipogue Drive, lightning struck a tree, an oak tree, and it just exploded the tree, and the tree fell on the garage, made a hole in the roof and scorched the garage, and the breakers tripped. So we worked with the homeowners to secure everything there and ensure that there was no further hazard. We're also the chief mentioned about that we're working with risk management and finance related to the Marine 228. We do have 11 800 megahertz radios that are for the new system. We asked to get them ahead of time before the rest of the new system radios come. We have them. We want to program them so that we can do mutual aid with our mutual aid partners who have already gone over to the Connecticut land mobile radio system. But right now it's stuck in the bureaucracy of the state, but at least the layout scheme has been everything that we were supposed to do has been done. Physical radios are there, and we're just waiting for the state to get back and give us permission to utilize these radios on the state system. In regard to personnel, the announcement for the fire training school programming coordinator went out actually to the public today. There were no internal candidates from THEA. So hopefully we will try to fill that as soon as possible in the next few weeks before, hopefully as close to July 1 or shortly afterward. That's the position, civilian position at the fire school. We sent out a conditional job offer yesterday to one candidate because we do have an existing opening. We think there may be more for the fall class, but we do have one opening now. So we sent that out and we'll start processing that candidate. When we send out a conditional job offer, we ask, are you interested? And we got a resounding yes coming back. It's very enthusiastic, and we're Corinne, Monica. So we're very happy to hear that, and we can start processing her. So, hopefully, any other people that we can for the class, which starts at the Connecticut Fire Academy August 28th. So if we have any other folks that telegraph for that time to process them. Let's see. In regard to facilities, the Station 1 bathroom went out, so we're anxious to have that come back and then pick a vendor to redo the bathrooms at Station 1, which are sorely needed. If anybody ever wants a tour, to be convinced, it'll be very evident very quickly. The records management bids are back and are being analyzed. That's the records management system. It's what we use to handle all our daily reports and everything else that we do. Firehouse, the vendor, the existing vendor is sunsetting. We're able to still utilize Firehouse even though they have finished with all their web clients. We have a server edition, so we're still able to use it for a while until we are able to, convert everything to choose a new system and then convert everything and then get trained in that system and then utilize it. We met with engineering and DPW regarding the fuel tank at Station 2. If you remember, I think I had mentioned that a carting company ran over our fuel dispenser at Station 2, and it's kind of a key thing because it's where most of our apparatus get diesel there, either there or Station 5. But it ran over the fuel dispenser, and it's an underground tank there, which we had hoped to. Is a 1,000-gallon tank, which we had hoped to in the future replace with the 2,000-gallon tank. And I had that in our minds with DPW handling the project. And so this sped it up because they can't put a new dispenser onto that existing piping because the piping was ruined and whatever. So it's moved up the project, which is great, you know, in a way, but it's taking time. But anyway, the plan, engineering worked out the plan and we were on site with them, making sure that our maintenance people, our mechanics are happy with it and people from Station 2 are happy with how we're going to have it. It's going to be hopefully a safe and effective installation. And it will give us 2,000 gallon tank as opposed to 1,000 gallon, which is, you know, which will give us a little bit more for like storms and things like that. So we're happy about that aspect. Little things make us happy, you know. It's definitely a great thing for us. And let's see, and that's it with my input tonight.
Do you need action from us, chief, of the tank?
Sorry?
Do you need the action from the commission on any of those items, the tank or anything else?
No. It's just working through planning and zoning, and I think the plan was approved, and we just had some tweaks to it, and everything else is going ahead. Thank you.
The records vendor, are they the ones who do the oil tank records that are on at the fire marshal's
No,
office?
so that's a function of the town website,
Okay,
and the town website, the town is picking a new website vendor also.
okay.
So we will, we've talked to them, and we said, you know, we have to have some sort of system so that the new system, you know, can it handle it? They assured us that it will. So that'll be, those records are kept by the IT department, and you know, it's accessed through that system. So
It's a very nice, convenient system.
it is. Well, so tell you about that is when we first came here, they were all in file cabinets.
Right,
So people would come in each day and, you know, search them, so, you know, civilians doing it for their own purposes, but also people from real estate companies saying, hey, you know, I have to look at the oil tanker here. So what we did is we had the idea, let's digitize them. So we spent like a year, you know, having our admins digitize them. And then we handed those records over there. And it's worked famously since. So everybody was happy, people coming in, you know, were overjoyed that they could just do it from home. So, you know, just
Yeah, I understand, sure.
better customer service. Yeah.
very interesting. It's always good customer, but any other questions? Thank you. Is there anybody from Southport Volunteer Fire Department? Southfield Fire, Volunteer Fire Department. Local 1426. President.
The first business is arbitration. We believe that all the hearings are done. There might be another one for clarification. Although they're done, we might not get a ruling until August now. The downside of that is because we don't have an agreement with the town to make members whole. So if someone was to retire now, they retire at the benefits they have currently, not at the ones that they would have had a contract in place for these now. Well, after July 1st, will be 3 races that they've missed. There's a number of people ready to retire, but I can't see any of them leaving until they get all of their money. I think they would be foolish to do it. We've advised some of the ones who are kind of close against just hold on. The downside of that, the chief and I have spoken about this, is that with an academy class coming up in August, these people don't retire till mid-August when they get the award. That's going to set the town back another
Till
3
February.
months, to another quarter anyway, of getting people on board, which is not good for the people who want to retire because they'd like to leave, and it's not good for the town because they're going to be carrying extra people for a longer period of time. We just, we don't have a working relationship where we could get that kind of work done. So I don't see any change happening there. Today we sent 3 more grievances to the labor board. I believe that brings up a total of 10 that we'll be heading to the labor board on. Had 5 step 1 grievances the other morning. But on a happier note, a year ago, March-ish, when session ended last time, so sometime around June of last year, we got the cancer bill that is currently in place. It wasn't what the committee had put together. It was changed at the last minute, as things often do in political circles, and just went to Hamilton recently, so it was in the room where it happened. Sausage came out, and it was more of a cow patty than a sausage. That bill did absolutely nothing for the professional firefighter in the state of Connecticut. We have wage replacement, we have sick time, we have injury time. We didn't need wage replacement, so the bill was useless to us. I took it personal because I trusted and didn't verify, right? So that was the mistake that I made. I thought the reports I was getting out of there were something was really going to happen with presumptive cancer legislation. It did. That thing came out of committee, and we said, this is unacceptable to us. That began a process. Process started with us telling our now new president of the UPFFA, this is unacceptable and you'll go back and get us something better. Our legislative person for the state, along with our lobbyists, said that they spoke to the Speaker of the House. He assured them that you are not getting a bill, you just got one, learn to live with it. We had CCM come and tell us, you're not going to get a bill, that's not going to happen. You already have this, you need to let this work first before you start to come in and start complaining again. You guys come up here too often and we don't want to hear it. That was Joe DeLong. We gave our standard answer. Here, it's essentially, no thank you. Like you say it in Boston. I sent we have a legislative committee on our local here in Fairfield, not just the UPFFA, but we have our own legislative committee. It's made up of four people, 3 of which have less than 7 years on the job. And I said, either go there and come back with presumptive cancer legislation that covers us, or stay there and don't come back. They were ferocious. I've never been more proud of a group of people that worked here. They were tenacious. They gave up on nobody. They backed down to nobody. Not our own people who said, maybe go easier. They didn't back down to them. They didn't back down to legislators, some of whom stood here with me and told me, you can't, you won't, you shouldn't. We did. We fought everybody. Our people were in charge of a few things. They spearheaded getting the testimony and the co-sponsors for that bill. The year before, the bill that was there had 11 people testify, either written or orally, at the hearing. 11. 8 for, 3 against, and the bill had 12 co-sponsors, I believe. When our people attacked it, we had 200 testimonies, 75 of which came from Fairfield alone. We had, of the people that testified, 80% were people that we got to come up and testify. That I didn't, my legislative committee did. We also were put in charge by the UPFFA of media. We attacked it. We were on the radio. We were in the newspapers. I bring that up because we went after CCM hard. We went after legislators hard. But we also brought life to those stories. I don't know if any of you read them, but Caitlin had a couple of stories in the Hartford Current. What was interesting is my dad, when I was little, he had a saying, a bit of a troublemaker too. He said, if you throw a rock at a pack of dogs, the one that yelps, that's the one you hit. So as soon as those articles would go out, someone would call crying about, well, you made me look bad. Well, that isn't how it happened. That's someone with a guilty conscience. Rock landed. Joe DeLong, president of CCM, came down to Fairfield, Connecticut, met in the basement of twos underneath the pipes that the deputy will tell you need to be replaced because sometimes poop comes out of them into our office. But he sat there and got grilled by 2, it might be hard to believe for those of you who've been here, but I didn't say anything. I just sat back and watched my legislative committee, Mike Schuman and Caitlin Pereira, rip him to shreds until he left and said, we're not the enemy, we'll get this done. Wasn't long after that CCM came back to the table, said, we're going to get you the coverage that you guys need and deserve. Fairfield had a huge part of this. And No bill is perfect. But what this bill does is it's better than what I hoped for. It covers every cancer except skin cancer. It doesn't leave anything out. It doesn't have stuff in there that was in the other bill about if you had a familial history of cancer, which is something I thought was supposed to be in those bills. But then we had the scientist who works on for the UN and the international cancer people. He was one of the people that we got to testify. He said, well, that's stupid. We're like, well, how come? He said, because that makes it worse. You're predisposed to cancer, you take the drug. He's like, you're getting cancer. That's dumb. Those people are in real danger. And I didn't know. Someone talked. So this bill does that. Now, it's going to be administered in kind of a roundabout way, but here's what I can tell you. I'll leave it at this, is that those same people that I put on attacking this, are the same people who are going to make sure it gets administered properly. So woe be it to the town or the state official who decides, I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do with this bill, because they'll get the rap these other people saw, and I'll be hopefully glorious enough to be there and watch it. So we're very excited, and I couldn't be more proud of my guys. Thank you.
Well done.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a question, but it's more for the chief. It came out of your presentation.
Oh,
So, talking about the vacancies and when people are going to retire and everything else. So we currently run with 4 vacancies, correct? What's to stop us from hiring those 4 now and getting them into the class? And then once everything is done and everything else, reestablish the 4 vacancies? Because they're not going to be, technically, they won't be on the line yet. They're in the academy. So what's to stop us from doing that?
So after my conversation with the president, and not getting progress on a agreement with the town to allow folks to retire and collect their benefits as if the contract was in force. I made that proposal to the finance department and working through getting the approval to be able to fill those vacancies and then attrit them back to vacancies as members retire.
And I don't know if you want to explain the vacancy thing to the newer commission.
So there's 23 firefighters on duty on each shift. We are staffed to 22. We're authorized funding for a full-time employees for 22 per shift. So 1 position on each shift gets filled with overtime. So it's a permanent vacancy. Many fire departments have similar types of arrangements. The reason is that at some point, they did the math and realized that there was a delta between the full-time cost, the cost of a full-time employee with benefits versus the cost of a firefighter at time and a half. It is a negligible amount, but there is a delta where it's cheaper to hire a position on overtime. It's not good for the organization. I've made the pitch that, it's detrimental to the good order of the department because, especially in the summertime, with people on vacation and just burning through vacation to get it off the book this time of year and in the summer, that it places a real burden on firefighters and seeing less interest in working overtime from our younger employees, not everybody, but there is, some, and it's an industry phenomenon, not unlike what we're seeing, the lack of desire to work in the general public, although not to the same degree. But it makes sense for us to fill those vacancies, particularly for this exigent circumstance, but also in the long term, slowly filling those with permanent positions, in my opinion, makes sense. So we are working through that issue for this August Fire Academy class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? We have our very patient CERT leader here in person. In 3D.
Nice to see some of you in person. I've just been on screen for a while. I'm Norman Peters, David with CERT. And update you, it's been a very busy season for us. In May, we helped with the Memorial Day Parade with traffic and pedestrians. And the half marathon, I don't know if any ran in the half. The half marathon, we had over 34 CERT volunteers who started at about 5:30 in the morning and went through till about 11:30 or 12. And the duties they had were to organize and help people. I think it was about 1,900 cars for the half marathon. Then we all dispersed to 15 intersections around town and helped with the traffic there, stopping cars when necessary. And then went back to our command tent down by the skate park and assisted with the cars leaving. So it's a big event. It gets everybody together. I only heard good things about our performance, so I hope no one else heard anything from anybody else about it. And I just want to comment, we do a lot with traffic and pedestrians, but really we're the community emergency response team. And the way I look at all this traffic stuff is, if there were ever a tragic event, a hot zone, a mass care event, we would be very well practiced and trained to help in any kind of perimeter activities that we need with both cars and pedestrians. So I still think it's a very worthwhile activity. And we're entering more of a busy season. We have a few more events coming up, and I report those in September. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic, thanks.
Any questions?
No, just a comment, not a question, but a comment for the rest of the commission. Since the conception of the race, I've been there every time since the beginning. And if any of the other commissioners would like to volunteer next year, we have plenty of stuff to do on the beach. You don't necessarily need to be medically trained or anything like that, or with traffic, so.
Like
Come on.
sunbathing and what have you.
Yeah. You can work with the physical therapist and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's a fun day, and it has a great benefit to the town. There's a lot of different charities that are supported with the benefits from the race. So I'd like to see some other commissioners down there maybe next year.
As long as we're not going to Joe, man.
That's it.
Any other comments? I'm sorry, donations. It looks like
There's one donation.
Yeah.
There's a donation from the Fairfield Beach Road Association for $150.
Make a motion to accept the donation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Cash check.
Old business, any old business? New business, it says vacation carryover approval.
So there is both the deputy and I have a contract with the town for employment. In that contract, it limits the amount of vacation carryover from year to year at 5 days. And both the deputy and I are requesting your requirement.
No, but yes, but the thing is, I don't have to, by my contract, go to the, you do.
I have.
But
He has a better attorney.
it allows us to carry over 5 days vacation, but we can't get paid for them ever. So it's not like we're,
Yeah, use.
and we have to use them
So,
eventually.
so your last year, we won't be seeing any of you guys? Carrying all those.
Yeah, you can't carry over more than 5.
Yeah, you can
So-
only carry over 5.
So my contract requires your approval to carry over 5 vacations. I would be most grateful if you did.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to carry the 5 days.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Any other new business?
Yeah, one item, if I can, just related to the physical fitness and firefighter help and everything else. Do our guys get to use, or excuse me, our firefighters, do they get to use the facility down in the sportsplex that the town owns? They have to pay for membership there if they want to use it.
We do not have an arrangement there. We do have an arrangement with the YMCA.
Is it free for the, okay, all right. Sure that we're getting something. Ready,
Other new business? Any public comment? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, commissioners. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I have it.
All right.
Yes.